Uh, Hi everybody. How are you? Yeah, this isn't starting yet, but that's okay. Wow, look at that. There are already 6 people here. Hello, John. Hello, Bill. Hello, Frank. Hello, John. Hello, John. John's very talkative in the chat room. Actually, not very talkative. He just said a few things. Right. Just between you and me. Never mind. I'm not ready. There. And I know, see, wow, that was really great. Yeah, I'm just not there. I will be. It'll be fine. This is the part that gets cut out, by the way, when it gets turned into a podcast, but you know that. So I launched it as a podcast yesterday. We'll talk about that during the show because part of the show is going to be talking about the show. Let me take a sip of my coffee because I always threaten to and don't, and then we'll just get into it. Hey, Rob's here. Hey, Rob. Ha. Thanks, Rob. That's, man, that means the world to me, actually. Thank you. Because now I know exactly who you are. All right. Let's do this. What do you say? Apple wants to be your MTV, and a grander introduction to this show. It is Monday, the 19th of October, and this is macOS Ken Live 2020, by the way. It's Monday, the 19th of October, 2020. I forgot to say that part. Hi, I'm Ken Ray, welcoming you or re-welcoming you or something into this live thing that we're doing that we are calling macOS Ken Live. Second half of the show, we'll talk a little bit more about the show, because why not? In fact, if from now on I could just do a whole show just talking about the show I'm doing, you'd never work a day in your life, would you? First half of the show, though, Apple released new iPhones last weekend. Apple, well, not released, but they put new iPhones on order last weekend. They put new iPads on order last weekend. The shipping times have stretched out till November, and I don't care because Apple introduced a new TV channel today. And that's all I've been able to think about today. That is honestly all I want to talk about. I know I should be here complaining about 5G because that seems to be what this show does. Not complain about 5G, complain about the 5G messaging because I don't have a 5G phone. So there's no need for me to complain about it. I cannot explain. Here's the back up and let me back up. If you haven't heard, and the biggest problem that I have is I live inside the Apple ecosystem, like the news ecosystem. So I don't know if it's a big deal that Apple actually sort of reinvented MTV today, or just not even reinvented, just rebooted, I guess. Not the brand name, because of course the brand name is Apple Music TV. Although apparently you don't have to have an Apple Music subscription to watch it. A lot of people are saying it's going to be like the old days of MTV, and that's kind of true, and that it's going to play music videos, which of course MTV used to do back in the day. It's also kind of not true because it's not going to be personality driven. If you were a child of the MTV generation, like here's what a big deal MTV was. When did it launch? 80 or 81? I know it was August 1st. It was either 1980 or 1981. Here's what a big deal that was. I was actually out of town when MTV launched. I had no idea it was coming. I was at my dad's house because I was like 10 or 11, depending on whether it launched in 80 or 81. I think it was 81. But, like, I seriously got home from whatever, like, interminable, like, road trip driving back to Nashville, back to my house, right? And as I'm going back to my room, which ridiculously for a 10 or 11-year-old had cable, that's, I grew up charmed. What can I tell you? Seriously, like, almost as soon as I got home, my mother told me that there was a new channel, and it was just all music videos. Now, at the time, there were about 30 or 40 channels. It's not like today or like, the between time when we all still had cable and hadn't cut the cord. But I mean, it was that big a deal. It was that big a deal. So if we flash forward to now, I have no idea how big a deal this is outside of the Apple News sphere because when I wake up, I start looking at Apple News. Now, it was carried in Variety, but Variety, of course, is an entertainment news site or an entertainment news magazine. And the interview is fine. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's fluffy, but I guess it's informative. The word synergy is made for this thing that they're doing, and I know a lot of people are tired of that word, and I don't blame them, but the word synergy is made for this because 'cause they're taking a lot of the programming, interstitials, things like that. I still need to back up a bit more. It sounds like it's mostly going to be music videos with occasionally stuff thrown in the middle. The stuff thrown in the middle is going to come primarily, it sounds like, from the radio stations that Apple has built. So, used to be Beats One, I guess now it's Apple Music One, and then Apple Music Hits and Apple Music Country. I guess they are videotaping because there's lots of tape. I guess they're video recording a lot of the interviews and stuff that they're doing, and that's gonna be thrown in as interstitials. Okay. I'm curious what the videos are gonna be. I'm curious if they're gonna be day parted. I'm curious if they're ever gonna add personality because there were 5 VJs when MTV started. Martha Quinn, Nina Blackwood, JJ Jackson, Alan Hunter, and Mark Goodman. Yeah, I still remember that from when I was like 12, and I had favorites, and I had ones that I didn't like as much. Martha Quinn was my favorite because I had sense. Everybody else, they were fine. There were 1 or 2 that I actually really didn't like, and I wouldn't, like, watch their day parts, but when I saw that it was their day part, I was sort of more into it. I don't think we know whether this is gonna have day parts or things like that, and the other thing is I don't know if we care. I cannot explain to you why this excites me so much because I tried watching it earlier. I really didn't like it. But we don't know how it's gonna go yet because right now they are launching with a very gimmicky sort of thing. They are launching with the top 100 streamed songs of all time on Apple Music. Now we say of all time, Apple Music has been around for, I think, 5 years. So when you say of all time, I mean, you're not talking about forever and ever, but you're talking about, something that's kind of interesting, and I'll be honest, it's kinda hooked me. Like, I'm trying to figure out in my head, okay, so it started at 6 AM on the West Coast, 9 AM on the East Coast. When I was watching it about an hour ago, they were up to number 58. So I'm guessing that means if I check back in around 9 o'clock tonight, we might be getting somewhere near the top 10, and that's actually a curiosity to me. So, well done, because initially I thought this just feels like a random, like, mishmash of stuff, except there's a little countdown thing at the bottom. And number 59, by the way, most streamed song of all time is "Bad Guy" by Billie Eilish. 58 is, "I'm in Love with the Shape of You," is that what it's called? By Ed Sheeran. I'll probably know that forever. What's interesting is before that, or maybe it was right after that, was a song by The Weeknd and Daft Punk. It's strange, like, you're getting this mishmash right now, and I doubt it's gonna be this mishmash forever. I'm curious how much guiding they're going to do in the stuff that they're doing, and I don't think I'm gonna watch it much. I don't think I'm gonna watch it at all, actually. I think I'll probably keep listening to the music that I always listen to. I'm excited by the fact that it's there, though, and I'm excited by the fact that it's there for a few reasons. When I was working on, the Star Trek podcast that I was working on with Roddenberry Entertainment, they started announcing all the different things they're gonna do. There's gonna be this one series that's gonna go, 10 years before the original series, and there's gonna be a cartoon, and there's gonna be another cartoon, there's gonna be all this stuff, and this one refrain that I heard from a lot of people was that they were excited about Star Trek, about which they didn't care. They were excited about this universe that they were invested in getting so big that there may be part of it that they never even watched or never even thought about or never even cared about. And that's kind of what Apple Music TV is for me. I'm curious about it because I'm always curious about the media stuff. But really, what I find interesting is it's not built for me, and that's fine. If they were just building stuff for us, if they were just building stuff for the nerds who sit around and talk about 5G, for the nerds who sit around and talk about, whether the point 0.5-inch larger screen makes that much of a difference, whether we like the rounded edges or the smoothed edges, if they were just programming for us, they'd be done. They'd be I can't think of a good example. 'Cause I don't wanna bash anybody. But I mean, if they were just talking to us, it would be a loss. That said, there are a couple of things that I wish they had. It's apparently free, which is kinda neat, so you don't have to have an Apple TV Plus subscription, you don't have to have an Apple Music subscription. I don't know if it's because of that or because they're just really leaning into the lean back thing of just like sitting and watching TV. There's nothing interactive about any of it. There's no chat. And I think that's awesome because chat, I mean, no offense to the chat that's going on here. And by the way, if this is your first time here, I do the chat thing after, so we'll talk in a bit. No, I'm not talking about anything that goes on with the chat here, but sometimes, I mean, that's just a way for chat to devolve into flaming or just a way for conversation to devolve into flaming. I kind of support the fact that they're not doing chat on this national thing because right now it's only national, it's not international. I'm really surprised though that you can't favorite a song, you can't tap the screen and see what's playing. None of those things. I mean, it's a straight video stream right now. Who knows if that will change? Who knows if that'll grow? You know, it's tough for me to say. I don't even know how to find it online, to be honest with you. I found it through my phone. I opened up the music thing and there it was right there. And I clicked, there are lots of songs you can't play more than 10 seconds of before, having to turn it off or make sure you send any kids out of the room. I'm curious if there's going to be a parental control thing on it. Haven't even had a chance to play with that yet. The other thing that I find interesting is they are trying to be tastemakers on this. This is not just well, here's another thing. We're going to throw it out there. And we're going to see what happens. That Bruce Springsteen documentary, Letter to You, launches this Friday. The album Letter to You launches this Friday. And Thursday, Bruce Springsteen, not himself personally, but Bruce Springsteen content is going to take over this music thing that Apple has created. Apple Music TV, I guess it's called, which it's simple and it says it. Part of me wishes they had come up with something, a bit catchier, a bit simpler. Do you hear what they're calling the Paramount streaming service? The CBS Viacom All Access Paramount TV service? They're calling it Paramount Plus. Not sexy, but it says exactly what it is. It's Paramount content, and it's a streaming thing because Plus now means streaming. So Apple Music TV is kind of the most boring name for something they want to be cool, but it does say exactly what the thing is. So yeah, Bruce Springsteen is taking over Friday. Going to be an interview with Zane Lowe. They're having a special event for super fans of Bruce Springsteen. Apparently, you can register to be one of 1,000 people who gets to watch some special thing with Bruce Springsteen and nobody else. I don't know. I don't understand. We're all locked inside. Why not just open it up to more people? But apparently, there's something special about. I know I was just sitting watching a screen like you, but I was watching something you couldn't. Because I'm 1,000 people special. Yeah, unless it comes with a T-shirt or something like that. If they're going to mail you something, then I get it. Otherwise, I don't get it. They talked to one of the executives from Apple TV Music Plus thing. I don't remember the person's name. I apologize. She talked a lot about the different synergies that were going to be there. I will tell you the thing that I found most hilarious. The thing that I found most hilarious is the person from Variety said, "Will there be commercials?" And the person from Apple said, "No, there will be no commercials." Whole channel is a commercial. I mean, the whole channel is a commercial. Thursday is going to be a commercial for Apple TV Plus because that's where the documentary of the Bruce Springsteen album is going to be. It's going to be an advertisement for Bruce Springsteen. Obviously, it's going to be an advertisement for Apple Music because you're going to be able to stream it there and now see also everything else. It's very MTV in that it comes up at the beginning of the video and says who the artist is. There's a commercial. Which label he's on. There's a commercial. And what the name of the song is, there's a commercial. And at the end, it's got a copyright by whatever production company did it. There's a commercial. The whole thing's a commercial for the Apple ecosystem, for the whole Apple way of being, for pop culture, which Apple is ready to serve you through Apple TV, through Apple Music, through the radio stations. The whole thing's a commercial. But they won't be trying to sell you Cetaphil or, chloroform. I was going to say chloroform. I'm pretty sure that's not a thing that they should sell anyway. Can't explain why I'm so excited. Half the reason I'm so excited is because I'm probably never going to watch it again. And it's just going to grow and it's going to change. And it's going to be this whole other thing that Apple is doing. They're going to do so many of these. At some point, people are going to stop looking at everything they do in the first 24 hours and say whether or not it's a failure. Last year when Apple TV Plus launched, before Apple TV Plus launched, there were people who are saying, well, it's obviously a failure. And then once it launched, they said it was a failure. And look, It is not burning down the house the way Disney Plus did or does or is. It's not gonna be an HBO Max anytime soon. It's not gonna be a Netflix, maybe in our lifetimes, maybe ever. But they're not trying to make it Netflix. They're not trying to make it well, I was gonna say Amazon, but of course they're not trying to make it Amazon. They're not trying to make it Disney Plus. They're trying to make it the thing that they're trying to make it, and it's gonna make enough money, and it's gonna make enough of a splash that it's gonna stick around, and it's gonna be okay that it's not the number one thing in the first 5 days. That said, I'm curious to see how the, cultural conversation goes around the Apple Music TV thing. Still hate the name. Okay, coming up in just a minute, I'm gonna talk more about this show, which seems very self-serving, but I don't know if I've actually talked a lot about what I'm trying to do here. I think I just sort of started doing it. Really quickly, though, continuing with the self-serving theme, I want to tell you about another show. In a Few Minutes is a conversation show that I do every week with a friend in tech of some sort, maybe another podcaster, maybe a writer. Super happy this week to have Tom Merritt on the show. If you listened to it yesterday, we talked about what was news to Tom. And what was news to Tom is actually something that's turning out to be news today as well. There's some, I think it's Josh Hawley out of Missouri, Republican congressman or senator, an elected official out of Missouri, who is saying that what happened when Twitter and Facebook blocked access to a New York Post piece that seems to have been thinly sourced at best. What they did there proves that they have too much power. And what's interesting is, while I don't know that he would necessarily agree politically with Josh Hawley, I don't know because we haven't talked about it. Well, I don't know. I'm going to leave the politics of it out of it. The thing is, Tom Merritt seems to have a similar view, but maybe for a different reason. So that was yesterday's show. Tuesday, we're talking about the new stuff from Apple. Wednesday, we're talking about Bill Gates being right. At least that's my opinion. Tom sort of opened my eyes to some other possibilities. Thursday, we're talking about Ted Lasso. Yeah, you can't get away from it. And then Friday, of course, Tom Merritt spins the wheel of stuff. Always a fun time when Tom is there. So the show is called In a Few Minutes. You can actually find it here on YouTube if you're here on YouTube. And if you're not here on YouTube, you can find it wherever you get podcasts. Just search for either Ken Ray or In a Few Minutes. And enjoy the show. Right. So part of the reason that we're talking about this show today is because I kind of got nervous. I won't say I couldn't think of anything else to talk about, but the two things on my mind today were Apple Music TV and the fact that I sort of started talking about this more publicly, this YouTube thing. A few more people here than usual, which is great. That was, of course, the hope. I am also now turning it into a podcast, which I know I've been threatening to do for the past several weeks. The old macOS Ken live feed was still there, just needed a bit of dusting, needed a bit of polishing, so there's new art and stuff like that. I don't really have a tremendous amount to say about it, except that it's the next thing, I guess. I don't know. If you're here and you're listening to it and you're supporting it, I thank you. And let's see what happens. I mean, my hope is that, being completely blunt, that part in the middle where I usually talk about some other show that I do, my hope is that one day that's going to have an advertiser. And I want an advertiser there, not because, haha, more money, although, haha, more money. But really the reason is if this show can start to support itself, then it could support somebody else too. I would like to get a co-host or maybe a couple of co-hosts. I would like to get maybe even a producer because we got a co-host on. I want somebody to switch the camera back and forth. I would like for this to grow into a bigger thing. And I think that's the reason I'm kind of like, fixated is the wrong word, but that's kind of why I'm fixated on that today. What's been absolutely amazing, and I think I talked about this about a week ago on this show when I said the whole thing about just, sort of putting yourself out there and amazing things happen. It's been kind of incredible, just like going live on YouTube and talking to the people in the chat room and really encouraging people to email me or leave comments. It's kind of nutty when you say to people, hey, I want to talk to you, they start talking to you. I have felt an energy and a connectedness with the macOS Ken community this past month that I haven't felt in a long time, which is not to say that I felt disconnected, but people are reaching out, which is great. That's part of the live thing. And then hopefully it growing and me being able to bring more people into the live thing as well would be great. So, though I've already asked you to listen in a few minutes, I guess I would ask you to do one other thing. If you like this show, I mean, well, if you're catching it on YouTube and you like it, please hit like and hit subscribe because then you'll know when it's going to happen and you can join us every day. If you're catching it on iTunes, if you could maybe leave a review, if you like it, and if you could also tell friends, that'd be fantastic too. And if you are catching it later, join us live sometime. We go live Monday through Friday, 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern, other times, other places. Check your local star chart for your time. If you're here live in the chat room, please stay in the chat room. I will be checking in there momentarily. If you're not here live, I think I just told you when to do that. So do that sometime if you would, because it would be just like you joining us live if you were to join us live. Thanks everybody for being here. Talk to you soon. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee now. I would say you can't stop me, but you've stopped me before. I'm really curious to read the chat because I'm really curious if anybody cares about this Apple TV music thing or just me. John loves lower decks. Oh, look, they're having a Star Trek conversation over there. All right, let's see who's here. John, Bill, Frank, John, Rob, Bill. Hold on. It's just one music channel. Darn it, John, I meant to talk about that. It is a good question. In fact, if you want to send me that question as a feedback thing, info@macosken.com. Hey, I forgot to do that. Hi, Laura. Good to see you. Yeah, what I immediately want is now I want them to give me my MTV. Remember the old I want my MTV slogan? I want my MTV now. I want the one where they're playing hits of the 80s and 90s, basically. And to be honest, I want something that's personality driven as well. John, if it goes well, I would imagine they will eventually have more channels. Right now it is just one, but it took them 5 years to do additional radio channels. I think I've talked about this before. When they announced Beats One, I didn't really, I mean, I was interested in it because it was a media play from Apple, but I didn't really care about the music that they were playing. What I was looking forward to was Beats 2 and Beats 3 and seeing what they came out with there. Of course, they killed the Beats branding and instead went with the Apple Music one, and then Apple Music Hits and Apple Music Country, which I've listened to both a total of one time for maybe 10 minutes each. But yeah, I still want them to come out with more channels that serve more people because that's the other thing that's kind of interesting. Like they're trying to be tastemakers. Are they going to be tastemakers or are they going to follow the trends? I know it's a combination of the two, but yeah. Anyway, right now, John, it's one channel. And if you're like me, you'll turn it on and say, well, I can't listen to that and turn it off. Number 57 was the Spanish Inquisition. That's funny. MTV during a pandemic. Mark Goodman. What do you mean, whoa, Mark Goodman? Sorry. Is it possibly born of the pandemic? I think is what Frank was asking. What they said in the Variety article, Frank, is that they've been working on it for a while. But I mean, the pandemic's been going on for a while now, so it's kind of tough to say. All I see is buffering animated circle, and I just ran a speed test. I don't know what you're talking about, Vern, if you're talking about the Apple TV thing or if you're talking about here. Frank likes the immediacy of the live show. So do I, Frank. That's why I keep doing it. Ken has left building. Wow, Vern's having trouble with my feed, apparently, but nobody else seems to be. So, ATV music. Yeah, a better name would have been better, but what are you going to do? Oh, Frank's having trouble as well. Hey, that's awesome. Great. Everybody's having difficulty. Thanks, Rob. All right. Well, I'm sorry everybody's having difficulty. I don't know what the issue is. But we're kind of done anyway. So I think I'm going to anybody who can still hear me, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down for the day, turn it into an audio podcast, and then start writing tomorrow's macOS Ken, which will be about this. So, not about the live show, about the Apple Music thing. Right. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate your being here. Seriously, I wouldn't be doing any of this if you guys and gals hadn't turned up. So, thanks. You're rock stars, one and all. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.